Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Excuse me! Taxi!
Come on, what are you doing? This is the 77 WABC minicast.
What do we got? Bill Clinton on the stand before the House Oversight Committee. Somebody told me, actually it was Blaine Holt, that we're going to be basically dropping bombs on Iran tonight. He was that like, yeah, it's going to happen tonight. I don't know. I know about it and you know about it. It's just, it doesn't sound like it could be. I don't know. Maybe we will. The snowball guy, the cop assaulter was arrested and then let go already. That's wow. That really is something. That's we always knew he was a cop hater. Alvin Bragg is the DA and Zoran Mamdani is the mayor. And a guy who cuts a cop's face with a piece of ice, they say that's not assault. Dark moment for New York. But people are, he seems to be crashing and burning Mamdani. He's not good at the job. This stuff may play well with the crazy radicals who support him and on a primary day, but there's something, generally, when you really got the job, even people who lean left are kind of like, what's going on? Hillary Clinton was on the stand yesterday. What are they doing? They're grilling her and Bill Clinton right now about Jeffrey Epstein. And here she is getting rather snippy when they ask her, hey, you tell us that you don't know anything about Jeffrey Epstein after he was convicted. Yet 2 years after he was convicted, you invited his girlfriend to the wedding of Chelsea. There's a picture of Ghislaine Maxwell at that wedding. Well, she said he was somebody's date. She was somebody's date. Cut 2, if you don't mind. Cut 2.
Why was Ghislaine Maxwell invited to the daughter of Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010? She'd already been mentioned in a civil lawsuit by Virginia Giuffre before that. Jeffrey Epstein had already been convicted before that.
She came as the plus one, the guest of someone who was invited.
Madam Secretary, could you thank you all. The photos of your husband in the hot tub.
Husband in the hot tub. Husband in the hot tub. Bill Clinton has a lot of faults, and so does Hillary. Now, I gotta say, it's kind of like Donald Trump. They didn't have anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein once he was convicted. That's what she explains here. It's kind of wordy. It was just unique and kind of novel to see Hillary Clinton get questioned by the press. And these were pretty aggressive, pointed questions. Let's see here. I know it sounds kind of convoluted, but it's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable. All right. Donald Trump is kind of the same way. Now, it is very, very noteworthy to me that people who should have known. Look, I remember where I was when I read about this guy for the first time in the Wall Street Journal. I remember it because it was one of the first times I had ever read a book off of an iPad. And it was down in a pool in Florida where the hell was that? Deerfield Beach, Florida. I had a couple of days off. I was reading a book on my iPad, which was not a thing that you really did much back then. Wait a second. No, it must have been in 2010 because that's when the iPad came out. It was in 2010, 2011. Yeah, and they did a big story about him. It was like, who is this mysterious person? It's interesting. That's interesting about years, isn't it? That's interesting. My realization to myself, I thought it was 2008, but I realized it couldn't be 2008 because the iPad came out in 2010. I was definitely reading a book on the iPad, and that's definitely when I read that big story in the Wall Street Journal about this mysterious weirdo named Jeffrey Epstein who had all kinds of friends all over the place. but had been busted for having, forgive me, getting hand jobs from teenagers in Palm Beach. Big spread. They're getting on Lutnick's case, right? Lutnick said, I never had anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein after 2005 because I looked at him and I said, that is a sick man. I want nothing to do with him. A couple of years later, in fact, he did have lunch with Jeffrey Epstein. There's a picture of him on the island. We have the email, but all of his kids, wife and kids. When's the last time you try to figure out when something happened? Oh, that's got to be 10, 15 years ago. 15. I haven't seen that guy in 15 or 20 years. That's how most people process time. I just mixed up 2008 with 2010. And I got a pretty good memory. I mean, I'm unusual that way. People are like, oh, how did you remember that? Well, I remember I link things that I learn with where I was geographically. And since I've always been a bit of a, just all over the place, transient, moving with the military, I link these things with where I was. And I remember being in that pool. But I was also in that pool in 2008. Maybe it was 2008. But I was reading the book Freedom. I remember that. Freedom by Jonathan Franzen, and that came out in 2010. I think. There's a lot of, it gets squishy. It gets squishy. Now, I am no fan of the Clintons, but I think they're more right than wrong as they defend themselves here. But what about him in that pool in the hot tub? Yeah, it doesn't look great for his marriage. Have you really looked at those pictures? Take a look at those pictures. That is not a young girl. Now, Megyn Kelly has a picture of her friends who look that they're very young, but they're not that young, if you know what I mean. They already have breasts. They already have things. One girl who Megyn Kelly says, well, he was ogling my friend. Well, if I were there at the same time and that girl with no bra on came by me, I just might look. Sorry, but you know what I mean? I was made that way. I was born that way. It doesn't make me a predator, and it doesn't make Bill Clinton a predator. Although Bill Clinton was a big-time dog. We all know that. You want to see Bill Clinton's his opening statement here. Hey, why are they giving, this whole thing about Mrs. Kirk, Mrs. Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk, Candace Owens, she seems like she's totally nuts. These conspiracy people who see conspiracy everywhere. I mean, then again, look, I was dumb enough to think that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK by himself for decades. For decades, I thought that. Now I feel sorry for that guy. All right. Thank you, Van Halen. Eddie, rest in peace.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.